Hi, everybody. Joe Chaffee here. Weather in 5 days and 5 minutes. And we want to set you up for what's coming for Sunday, as well as look at what's happening late this afternoon and this evening. Flood watches have now gone up for a very large geographic area that extends from northeast Virginia up through Maryland, northern Delaware, much of New Jersey except the south coastal counties, pretty much all of the eastern half of Pennsylvania, New York City, southeastern New York, the Hudson Valley, the Catskills, up into south central New York, and then further north up the Hudson Valley into the northeastern part of the state, southern and central New England through New Hampshire and Vermont, all the way down to the Connecticut coast. For now, Nassau and Suffolk County are out of that flood watch that is up for Sunday. Let's lay that aside for a moment and take a look at what's going on late this afternoon and this evening. We have this stalled frontal boundary to our west. It's very warm. It's very tropical. Dew points up into the 70s, temperatures in the middle to upper 80s, and that is setting off some thunderstorms. We also look to the southwest. You see this wavy frontal boundary that runs from southeastern Michigan right down into southern Illinois, across southern Missouri, into Oklahoma. There's a wave, actually a couple of waves on that front. A solid disturbance is going to come out of this and move eastward across the Tennessee Valley and then turn northward up inland of the East Coast, primarily running up the east side of the Appalachians. And that's going to set us up tomorrow for some fairly heavy rains. Meanwhile, on the satellite loop late this afternoon, you can see the lightning flashes that are showing up in the Northeast from the scattered thunderstorm activity that's popped up from parts of Massachusetts all the way south and west into central North Carolina. We also have some storms back through Alabama and Mississippi, and a line of storms that cuts through southern Arkansas. That's part of that disturbance that is moving eastward. And also you see all the clouds that extend up through the Great Lakes. So it's a bit of a powerhouse trough that is heading east and setting us up for tomorrow. Here's a close-up view of what's going on in the Northeast, and you see the lightning flashes that are occurring. This satellite ends at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, just to point out, there's a low-level swirl way out east of the New Jersey coast. That's a low-pressure area. It's not tropical. It's just sort of sitting there, at least for the time being. It will eventually get kicked out to the northeast. Radars are showing some very heavy thunderstorms, and even a few of them enough to reach severe levels. You see that little yellow box that pops up and goes in parts of Rockland and Orange County. So that was a brief severe thunderstorm warning there. And there are some heavier thunderstorms in southwest Jersey, in and around the Philadelphia area, down into Delaware, and over into northeast Virginia. And then take a look at this. This is the shower and thunderstorm activity. It's got this sort of upside-down V shape to it, so it kind of tells you that there's a fairly strong upper air system here that's triggering off these very strong storms in parts of Alabama and Mississippi and back on into southern Arkansas. The Storm Prediction Center, that's where the risk of severe weather is tonight in eastern Tennessee to Mississippi, west-northwestward through the southern plains and into the western plains, southeastern Wyoming on the northern fringe of it. Even a severe thunderstorm watch box pops up there as of 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And we also want to take a look at the WPC forecast. Now, this is for tomorrow. They have what they consider a slight risk for flash flooding. They may there we go. We just have an update there. So we have a moderate risk now of flash flooding. That's a 40 to 70% probability of flash flooding over from central Maryland northeastward through much of the eastern half of Pennsylvania, northwest New Jersey, mainly north and west of the Turnpike to just east of New York City, into the Hudson Valley and the Catskills, and further north up into Vermont. And this is going to play out in terms of total rainfall here. WPC forecasting a rather large area of 1.5 inches plus. And in the red areas across Pennsylvania, northwest New Jersey, northwestern Connecticut, and points north and northeastward up into northwestern New England, we've got some pockets of 3 to as much as 5 inches of rain showing up there. Also, we all want to go back to the Storm Prediction Center's forecast for tomorrow because there is severe weather risk embedded in all of this. In the east, marginal risk to western Vermont and all of New York State, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. You start getting into slight risk of severe weather, southeastern Pennsylvania, Delaware, down through Maryland and Virginia and into North and South Carolina. Also a slight risk across the Gulf states from Alabama westward into Louisiana and southern Arkansas. That tornado risk right now is indicated to be less than 2%, but it would not surprise me if we wind up seeing a few spin-ups out of all of this. The primary focus really is going to be the rainfall, and if there's a severe thunderstorm, maybe there might be some wind associated with that. But it is really going to be about heavy rain tomorrow. So we'll get through the thunderstorms this evening. You see what's out in the Ohio Valley, kind of dies out after sunset, and then they begin to flare up as this low moves eastward out of the Tennessee Valley. Kind of pops a low up there in South Carolina, but it really takes shape tomorrow around mid-morning in northeastern Virginia. And that's when we'll start to see the rain begin to spread out going into the afternoon in Pennsylvania and New Jersey, and then eventually sweeping eastward. Now, there's a wall there. If you go east of New York City during the day tomorrow, if you're on Long Island and in Connecticut, southeastern New England, probably not going to see much, if any, rain at all until that upper trough and systems shift eastward. That probably happens tomorrow night when we get maybe into some showers and thunderstorms there, but before it finally pulls away. Monday looks to be dry. There's a disturbance that is going to move across the lower Gulf states and then make a bit of a turn toward the Carolinas later Tuesday. But I think that winds up going out underneath us, and it should not be an issue. And then as we move through the rest of the week, which looks to be a very warm and humid week, and by the way, that was the NAM model depiction. The GFS is a much weaker setup with this, so it just sort of implies that maybe another shower or thunderstorm Monday afternoon or evening, especially in New England with the upper trough. And much of this coming week is just going to be very warm and humid, and we may have to probably wait till the end of the week before we get into another threat for showers and thunderstorms, and that will come along on Friday. So just a recap very quickly. Flood watches up for Sunday from northern New England, south and west, through southeastern New York, including New York City, Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and Baltimore, eastern Pennsylvania down into Maryland and northeast Virginia. 2 to 3 inches of rain seems likely, and some areas could wind up with much more than that, especially in and around thunderstorms and the potential that there might even be some severe thunderstorms in the mix. The coast is not in that flood watch. And actually, much of the day, if you're on Long Island tomorrow, probably won't be too bad, unless there, except for the fact that there'll probably be quite a bit of cloud cover around. The Joe and Joe Weather Show will be on tomorrow morning, Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So, of course, we're going to be covering all of this in great detail, plus looking ahead to next week and the long range. So we hope to see you then. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.